Hello, today we are going to talk about Gestalt psychology in action. In the last video, we spoke about the 6 laws of perception, and this video we are going to talk about how we can utilize this in therapy or for understanding our own thought processes. Let's dive into it. In this particular series, we are going to talk about 6 laws of perception and how it could be utilized in therapy. Today, we are going to talk about pragnance. The law of pragnance simply means we simplify complex images into the simplest form possible. Let's explore this in therapy and how we can apply it for ourselves or for the clients that we are working. The law of pragnance or simplicity, in one statement to understand this, is that people tend to perceive complex images in the most simplest form possible. Now, this simplest form is not necessarily the right or the healthiest way to process it. It just makes the processing a bit simpler for the mind to go for. So, in therapy, if a person faces a particular situation or a problem at hand, how does it work through it? First, it tries to break it down, maybe using something known as the black and white thinking, where the person is going for this or this. For example, the person might be hurt by something that someone said to them. Say, for example, a teacher told a student that you're not really working hard. The person might have a black thinking where the person might perceive the teacher as bad, or white thinking that, okay, this is a constructive feedback that I need to put in more efforts. There is no gray area to it. There is a very clear understanding that this or that. Or the person might indulge in something known as a single label identities, where we tend to label ourselves because of a particular situation. Here, I might start calling myself that I am a failure because my teacher said you're not working enough. Right? So I gave myself a label, oh, I cannot do it. I might stop trying because of this identity. Another thing that I might engage into is called the cause effect narratives, wherein I apply because X happened, I am now Y. Let's see some examples to understand how we apply these cause effect narratives, which will be very helpful for us to understand that how we tend to relate a past experience with the present and maybe apply it in the future as well. My dad left, so I can't trust any man from now on. I was abused, I attract only toxic people in my life. My ex cheated, so I am not good enough. I was the eldest, so it's always my responsibility for anything that goes right or wrong. My parents fought all the time. Love always ends painfully. So, all of these show that how there is a cause, that something happened, that's a single event, and that is now applied, generalized to many situations in our life. Let us now understand that why do clients or we use these kind of thinking processes and why is this important to us? First, it simplifies a very painful emotional story for us. When something doesn't go according to how we thought or planned, or something that came as a shock or surprise, the mind will try to understand it by simply saying that this or this. Or it might go with a label where it says that I am not good enough or I am not lovable, because it wants to simplify what it went through. It keeps looking for it. Next is where we want to feel some form of control or certainty in a situation. When they start saying that, oh, this is why I did not perform in my class because I am a failure, or I did not show up for this particular event because I'm anyway not going to win. Human mind wants to always feel in control. And when it doesn't have control or the certainty in the future is when we start feeling anxious, angry, irritation, frustration. Next is as a way of self protection. If I assume love is dangerous, I won't get hurt again. Let's take an example of someone who had a breakup, and in this breakup, they felt like that their love was taken for granted. And what they thought was love was actually dangerous for themselves. So, what they decide is next time, if someone similar or a similar person or a situation comes up where I can fall in love, I would be cautious. So they'll have fear of commitment. They'll be scared to even explore this particular field of love because they don't want to hurt themselves. So what they're doing is they're protecting themselves. Now let's take a case study to understand this. So say that a case study of RS, who's 32 years old. She's a neurosurgeon and her present complaint is no one loves me and I am not enough. To understand a person or when you're dealing with a client, it becomes very important to know about their background. You might start to know about their background in the very first session, or it might take you a really long time to discover them deeply, maybe because they are not transparent, or sometimes it takes that much time to go deep into a person, right? So let's look at RS's background. The experienced childhood emotional neglect from father is present. Father was away for 13 years of her life. When father returned, he immediately started controlling her and the rest of the family members with verbal and physical threats. In adult relationships, as a grown up, she has become very anxious and a people pleaser to make sure no one gets upset with her so that there are no repercussions. She started believing a man can control a woman and woman is just an object. Now, based on this background, you have started understanding why her complaint is maybe that no one loves her and maybe she's not enough, which shows her self worth is very low, right? So let's look at how we can use law of pregnancy at work. The client collapses multiple complex life experiences into a very simplified belief that I have to say yes to others or they will not accept me. Say yes to earn love and acceptance from others. So, one who believes that they are not lovable or they are not enough are going to strive to find that love and acceptance from others. So, they're going to do everything to feel loved. So, they will end up becoming a very yes people. And that is why they get into people pleasing, right? So in therapy using Gestalt, what can be revealed? Once you start working with the client, you might start teaching them and understanding that this was one event and it is a really sad one that happened. And a very trauma informed care has to be taken care over here. And with process, they might start learning that they have a right to say no. No one is supposed to control you or your life. Saying yes doesn't mean love and acceptance. If it shows in that form, it is conditional love and acceptance of you. There are other men who are good around you, like your brother, your brother in law, husband, father in law, and you are safe now. Of course, as a professional, using different modalities to heal a person becomes very, very important. Just this one law of application or just Gestalt psychology is not enough. For this particular client, we might have to get into inner child work. We might have to make them aware of importance of having themselves. Maybe we need to work on their self-worth, their self-love using art therapy, play therapy, dance movement therapy. The subconscious rewiring is important, maybe using hypnotherapy, using a lot of modalities for this person to help them heal. And it is a journey together of the therapist and the client. If you are one of them on your journey to find yourself, know that this is knowledge, and knowledge always makes you aware of where you're coming from. Once you're aware, then you start working and processing and acknowledging what you went through, and then you finally have a person who's healed and happy, right? So thank you for seeing this, and the next video is going to talk about law of similarity.